A growing number of drivers being attacked just for doing their job. Tonight, thugs caught on camera and their innocent victims left to ask why.
Stabbed, beaten, spat on and abused.
Devastated. I did nothing to deserve it.
Smashing his head and his fist trying to break the window.
That must have been terrifying for you.
Oh, yes.
They're unarmed and unprotected. Public transport drivers on the front line. And tonight they break their silence, exposing the dangers on buses and in taxis.
How many times have you been assaulted while working as a bus driver?
Physically assaulted 3 times. Spat on, I've forgotten how many times.
Former bus driver Patrick McArdle is just one of many innocent workers who have been scarred for life.
This guy was just aggressive. He was just looking for trouble anywhere he could find it, in my opinion.
He was the victim of a terrifying road rage attack by this man who was arrested at the scene.
It was just like a feral dog.
Sadly, Patrick isn't alone. This sickening surveillance footage has never been aired before until now. A bus driver carrying out his night duties pulls over to pick up 2 young men. They jump on and immediately start terrorising the bus driver with a knife while demanding cash. With one quick jab, the teen brandishing a knife stabs the bus driver in the eye, ripping it from its socket. They escape with the till. The bus driver is left in shock and agony.
Well, with all these incidents, there is no real explanation.
Police later used this security vision as evidence and managed to track the young, cowardly culprits. It's one of the most frightening attacks on a bus driver Transport Workers Union, Peter Biagini, has ever seen.
Absolutely disgraceful, and I don't know how an individual can do that to another person and walk away from it, but it's a common occurrence.
And while it's extreme, it shows the dangers these drivers can face when they go to work.
They are looking after somebody's children, taking them to school, or they're looking after their elderly.
Do you think that bus drivers get enough credit for the work they do?
No, I don't. It's a thankless job.
In Patrick McArdle's case, he was bashed by a grandfather.
He was up here on holidays, taking his grandchildren to SeaWorld.
Patrick had dropped off passengers and pulled back out onto the road. According to the grandfather, Patrick's bus almost hit their family car.
Then he threw the brakes on in front of the bus at the roundabout.
Patrick, unsuspecting, continued on with his job, stopping to drop off more passengers.
The next thing, this bloke had just turned up from nowhere. He'd come on an angle, so I didn't even spot him in the mirrors, and just slammed me into the window of the driver's side.
Patrick was taken to hospital with head wounds and now doesn't feel comfortable going back into his role as a bus driver. His attacker walked away with just an $800 fine and no conviction recorded.
It's a regular occurrence. A lot of it's verbal, some of it's physical.
Taxi driver Bob Richardson speaking out on behalf of cab drivers, calling for harsher penalties on those who assault them while on the job. The 62-year-old recently copped a beating from a young, enraged passenger.
3 men got in, and on the way one was giving a bit of trouble. I said, I've had enough, I'll let you out at McDonald's.
Then one of the passengers went on a violent rampage. First, he snuck up behind Bob and belted him across the head. Bob's glasses fell to the ground.
I was in a position where I could pull up immediately.
All 3 passengers got out of the cab, but Bob's attacker continued with his reckless behaviour.
What happened when you pulled over? What did he do?
Well, he started destroying the car. He smashed this up here, pulled the windshield off, pulled the rear vision mirror off. He kept thumping the window, trying to get back in, and with his fist and his head.
Police arrested the offender, who got a 4-month suspended sentence. He was also ordered to pay nearly $1,500 in damages to Bob's taxi company, which he still hasn't paid. Bob continues to drive with caution. The Transport Workers Union, along with bus and cab drivers, are calling for greater protection for themselves and passengers. Their suggestions include duress alarms, separating the bus driver with a perspex divider, live streaming using CCTV and GPS tracking so a bus can be located.
It needs to be much higher so everyone out there in the community will get that message, leave these people alone.
The industry is also calling for the same penalties to be given to offenders as those who assault police and emergency workers.
Behave yourself. That's basically it. Just behave yourself when you get in the public transport.
It's not too hard, is it? We place a lot of trust in our drivers and they deserve better protection. In fact, the Transport Workers Union says 95% of bus drivers have experienced abuse on the job.